Have you ever seen fighting events like boxing or MMA and somebody gets a big knockout and that person who got knocked out kind of doesn't look like they're having a great time afterwards, right? Now imagine that's with a sword or a club or claws or teeth or some sort of concussive blast like a fireball. Shouldn't there be something that happens after you return from zero? I don't know. Let's check it out. See you on the other side. I'm Baba Tucker.
And I'm Jackson Dean Chase. And by our powers combined, we are MageGate Games.
And if you like role-playing games and rolling dice, you're in the right place. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video. Today, we're answering a question. And this question comes from Heather. Heather asks, I'd like to see some kind of penalty for dropping to 0 hit points. Make the game a little more realistic in that aspect. Would like to hear your thoughts on that. So let's go ahead and put our heads together, Jackson. Boom. And that's what we did. And we came up with some awesome things about what happens when you are reduced to 0 and come back. So let's first off talk about what hit points are. Hit points, at least how they say in the GMG, is first off half of your hit points as they go down. Boom, boom, boom. That's basically maybe your heroic actions. You're taking just a little bit of damage, nothing big, nothing major, until after half of your hit points are gone, and then you start taking wounds. You start really, you're feeling those impact of those hits, and at 0, that's when you're going down. Now, I always felt this is a little weird because when you come back up, you're at 1 hit points and you're acting like a superhero again. You got, I can do anything. And that's not so realistic, at least in my point of view. Jackson, let's see. We came up with some things about conditions and rules and stuff for after you drop to 0. What are those?
Yeah, we came up with some really good stuff, and I think Heather's going to be really pleased with some of the nefarious things we came up with, but they're also really simple. Okay? Simple and nefarious. I love it. Okay. So what about, the first thing we came up with, what about exhaustion, right? Easy. Okay. So you get a level of exhaustion. Okay. That could be the easiest version, but let's go a little deeper. Okay. And we got a 3-step system here. If somebody does a medicine check on you and succeeds, then or when you brought up to 1 hit point, you would come back with 3 levels of exhaustion. Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, that you feel that you went down and you're not feeling so good about getting back up, but you got to do what you got to do. The show must go on. Now, if somebody has a medicine kit and uses that on you, now when you come back to 1 hit point or more, now you've got only 2 levels of exhaustion. Or now if somebody uses magical healing on you and brings you back up, then you've only got 1 level. So it's a 3-2-1 system, from non-magical healing with actual supplies with the kit, or just straight up magical healing, which would be the ideal solution. But even with magical healing, you still have one whole level of exhaustion to deal with, and so there's a penalty for going down. And that was the first thing we came up with, and so that's super easy. But what if? what if? Yes, there was wound infection. Right now, you need a Constitution saving throw to avoid infection after being reduced to 0 hit points. And now, the easiest way to do this is just take Sewer Plague from the Dungeon Master's Guide. Use that for the DC and results. That's a DC 11 Constitution saving throw. Now, then we could, if we wanted to ramp that up and make it even more scary, we could make the threat of infection more frequent and thus more dangerous. So anytime you're reduced below 50% of your maximum hit point total, not counting temporary hit points, You also must make the con save to avoid infection, and that would be the same DC 11. Now, okay, because we're devious, we're like, what if we took this a step further? And so here's another option for you. If you're going to go that route, there's a damage type option. Now, if you take damage from a specific magical or non-magical damage type other than bludgeoning, piercing, psychic, or slashing damage, the DC versus infection is increased by +1 to 2 depending on the damage type. Okay? So DC 11 for bludgeoning, piercing, psychic, slashing. Okay? Now, DC 12 for force, radiant, or thunder. DC 13 for acid, cold, fire, or lightning. And the worst one, DC 14 for necrotic or poison. And okay, one last thing. One last thing is whichever damage type you took the most of from the blow that reduced you to 0 hit points or below will determine the infection DC. Or your DM can figure it out for themselves and say, no, it's this. But that's because certain attacks could deal multiple types of damage. So that's just to prevent any kind of confusion or rules lawyering or whatever. It's just like, okay, it's whatever did the most damage is the obvious choice for whatever sets the DC. And that's what we came up with.
Yeah. Some other things that I was thinking as well as, right, as a GM, sometimes you can say like, okay, maybe the sewer plague or wouldn't really work, right, for this case. Maybe this infection isn't really what it is that's going to be given. So I'm just taking a look at, this is actually our unearthly omnibus for it's got our acid, necrotic, poison, radiant, and spirit. And look at that new cover. Oh, thank you. Oh yeah, it looks so cool. But yeah, if we open it up, it's our extreme encounters. There is and it's kind of hard to see, but we have necrotic contaminations, and because we love to ideate, we also looked at, okay, well, there's a whole bunch of curses in here. And depending on the damage type, we can look at, okay, this broken bone curse, and you can just go in and instead of saying like, okay, this is a curse that's happening, you can just take that same saving throw, the Constitution saving throw, and have them like at 0, you just add in that, okay, they take a level of exhaustion and your speed is reduced by 10 feet per round, and you can no longer dash, right? And that is stage 1. And this goes to stage 3. And yeah, so you can keep adding it in, same, like, okay, this was a huge blunt damage that happened to the characters. And then we also have gushing gore, and underneath there's bleeding out, and that also goes from stage 1 to stage 3, and right, that's just ramping it up. And just, I love how, oh man, I love how we can just go through this, and there's so many different things in here. Same with the necrotic damage, right? Can't be healed other than magic, and so using things like your healing potions, using things like like, this is what you have to use, that to negate the effects of how you died. Right, it gives you this, like, I'm scared to fight now. I don't want to fight things that do necrotic damage. The ability to scare your players with undead things that do necrotic damage comes back. Before, we had the, I'm going to drain a level, or I'm going to drain this, but you can also just scare them with, hey, yeah, no, this thing hits you and it's not coming, it's not, your hit points aren't coming back during this long rest that is from that necrotic damage. Yeah, sure, there might be a little bit of note taking for that, but thematically, story-wise, oh man, that's beautiful. So yeah, I'm I'm all for giving conditions and for checking out our books and just diving in, and you can, there's so many different things in here that you could just pick out and go, oh yeah, nope, that's gonna work. I can apply these to different areas, not just in our terrain, but also after the damage. Beautiful. So yeah, I hope Heather, I hope that answers some questions and also gives you some inspiration to do something different at your games. Um thank you so much. And yeah, thank you. If you have a question or comment like Heather did, please leave it down below. Check out our books. And they're all in the description below. And yeah, thank you again for coming. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in another video. If you'd like to see more things like this, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon. If you feel like supporting us and helping us bring more things to you and our community through the MageGate, go ahead and check out our links in the description below and join our Patreon. If you haven't picked up your free Heirloom Magic Item PDF, go ahead and check out our website where you can get that for free. Thank you so much again, and see you in another video. He's been up, he's been down, he's up and down, up and down. As the GM, I find it difficult when my players go down and then they get back at 1 hit point and just wreck everything as though nothing has ever happened. And I'm back up like nothing ever happened. I feel like after you've been punched or kicked in the head, you should probably feel a bit tired. Let's see some ideas that we have about what happens after you return from 0. See you on the other side.